Brakati Yahweh, Brakati Yahushai, Brakati Yahweh, Brakati Yahushai, Brakati Yahweh, Brakati Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, Bahashim, Klal Kudash, double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone True Well. Salutations to the hopeful elect out there. You Akim to Sadakim that do this thing in the utmost truth and sincerity. On the pre-Shimon, this week's topic is going to be entitled Elon Musk buying Twitter was a Black Swan event. Now, what is a Black Swan event? That is an event that pretty much comes as a surprise and changes, has a huge change on society, a huge effect on society. And why was Elon Musk purchasing Twitter a Black Swan event? Because it drastically affected the tides of war. Not a military war, but the war of information, right? Prior to him owning Twitter and changing it to X, Twitter was a left-leaning platform. And they were kind of going under a little bit because guess what? They started deplatforming people, meaning if you didn't speak to the leftist agenda, as they would say, you'll get deplatformed. And most famously, they deplatformed at the time the sitting president, Donald Trump. Not only did he get deplatformed on X, he also got deplatformed on the Meta. So think about this. This is the sitting president of the United States getting deplatformed. So it was an echo chamber, right, of just all the same ideas, all the same philosophies, or what have you. So Elon Musk comes in and he leans the company out, right? He fires a bunch of people. He acquired it for $45 billion. He says it wasn't worth $45 billion, but in the grand scheme of things, that was a great investment because again, it changed the tides of information. Some of you brothers that are coming in now weren't in 2016, that first term of Trump, right? So during that period, if you were like doing shows on politics, you literally had to watch both sides. If you're on YouTube, you had to watch Fox, you had to watch CNN, because both news lies. Both news don't outright say they lie, but both news can either lie by omission. So you have to go back and forth and sort of filter and make your own objective analysis of the situation, then do lessons. Now with Twitter, when he took it over, okay, he said, look, we're going to criticize both the right and the left equally, right? That's what he said. He since now, because he was a moderate Democrat, but he's since now leaning MAGA, right, which is like a Republican stance. And the reason being is because the left fucked him. Remember, he had Tesla positioned in California. They increased the tax. He was trying to petition with the government, so much restriction, so much regulation, forced him to move out and go to Texas. Same thing with Joe Rogan. That came back to bite them in the ass because these two individuals pretty much had a major effect on the elections in terms of, swaying the population's view on things. And the reason they also got Elon Musk to kind of push away from the Democrats is because you have two sorts of Democrats, right? You have a moderate Democrat, which is more about, putting up particular laws to benefit the people. How can the government benefit the people, right? And you have these progressive Democrats, which are what they call woke or far left, which are more like identity politics. Well, Elon Musk, he has 8 kids, and he lost one of those kids to identity politics, to that woke agenda, if you will. He became transgender. And ever since then, Elon Musk it pissed him the fuck off. He said, how the hell can I lose my son to this bullshit? So he bashed the schools, he left all that, and then he started leaning more towards a Trump stand because Trump is a business guy, right? Corporate taxes, less restrictions, less regulations, things like that. And what you see was in this election, most of the people favored that because most of the issues that Trump ran on affected more people than the issues that Kamala Harris ran on, which was more identity politics and abortion. Now, the thing is this, most people know it's not right to have a man playing in women's sports, okay? Most people know these things. Most people know it's not right for two of the same sex to lay together. But guess what? They couldn't say it because of fear of losing their job. Because even though that was the minority of the voice that was thinking that way, guess what? Google, Meta, which owns Facebook and Instagram, and Google also owns YouTube, guess what? They wanted that narrative to be pushed. So they gave the smaller voice the largest platform. So they were blasting that shit in your ear, forcing it upon you, telling you call he or she all that type of stuff. And guess what? People got fed up with it. Now, this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 29, verse 16. It says, surely a turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay. Right? Everything the so-called white man did, he turned things upside down with these different laws and decrees. Potter's clay gets broken. People are getting fed up with this bullshit, fed up with the wine. You know? You have so-called conservative Edomites, conservative Christian Edomites that are not with that agenda, all right? Even right now, you have this particular congresswoman that's going hard saying, I'm not going to have a man go in a woman's bathroom. These sorts of things. It says, for shall the work say of him that made it, he made me not? That's a so-called white man, you know what I'm saying? He was here, he is formed by the Most High, but he's going to tell you there is no Most High. It says, or shall the thing framed of him that shall the thing framed say of him that framed it, he hath no understanding? And that's what the so-called white man does. You know, he says that the Most High doesn't know this and doesn't know that, and that, you know, you should splice animals and do this and genetically modify this and that, only to their own destruction. Don't you know when you have two animals that mix that are not supposed to mix, they can't reproduce? But going back to the topic at hand, controlling, if you control information, the war on information, if you control information, you control the narrative. And I got to give Trump his credit, because this time around, he played the Game of Thrones far more better. Okay, he played the game of politics far more better. What he did was this, and the Democrats were falling for it, was he was pushing fake news, meaning, like, you know, they say things and it's lies, right? And we all know the so-called white man lies continually, right? This is the book of Job 13:4. It says, but ye are the forgers of lies, you're all physicians of no value. The so-called white man is a mastercraft liar, but guess what? They lie against each other to deceive one another. So what Trump realized was, look, the first time what they did was take snippets of me and completely destroyed me, messed up everything I said. And at the time, again, the first two cycles of it, he didn't have anything on his side. That's how come all those informations that you see coming out, those prompts that he came out saying the things that he want to do when he becomes president, that was in 2022 when he got deplatformed. It is just now resurfacing now. And he put that up on Rumble. Now, the CEO of Rumble was one of the people standing by his side when he walked out into Madison Square Garden. So they sort of created their own little Avengers MAGA unit, right? But the war of information, the so-called left controlled it, right? They even took over Fox. Rupert Murdoch, the owner of Sky News and Fox or what have you, he was like a conservative individual, Republican for a number of years. That his son, Lucan Murdoch, became left-leaning, was left-leaning, and he was changing Fox, and, you know, Trump voiced it out that, you know, Fox is changing from being conservative to such and such and that. And I remember, because I used to watch both sides, see, and I remember when Fox gave the win to Biden early. Just like the only person that didn't do it was Newsmax. And I was looking at the comments, all these fucking Republicans who have said Fox, you traitors, and this, that, and the third, but they didn't know that the son, the person that took it over, was so-called left-leaning. So what happens is this, right? People now yearn for what is information, what is the truth, where can I go to for information? And X was giving you unbiased, unfiltered emotions. Like, literally, you could look up anything on X. Google was shadow banning things. Hell, Google shadow banned the assassination. You couldn't type it up. YouTube's, they were all shadow banning, but Elon Musk opened up the den of information, and Donald Trump seized it. And I'll tell you how he did it. It's chess. If you're gonna snip everything I'm gonna say and spin it, you're gonna grab at every straw. Well, guess what? I'm gonna bait you. So what he did was this: he would bait them into, give them the little snippets that when people looked into it, they say, wait a minute. One, he didn't say that, mean that. Two, he never did that. His actions never did that. And I'll give you examples, right? He said that the cops need more immunity. Cops need immunity. He knows that immunity doesn't mean, first of all, cops already have immunity, but he knows it doesn't mean immunity to kill people, right? It means to protect them in civil court in case they have to make a quick decision, life or changing decision. But the left took it, snagged it. Now that they snagged it and ran that clip, okay, now we're gonna jump on X and release what I really meant, what I really said. Okay? He also did that with what else? He did that with that. Man, he did a bunch of things like that. Well, he'll say something. No, there was. Oh, I remember they ran with this one. He told them. I'm gonna protect women, whether they like it or not. Now he knew that they were gonna clip that, cut that, run with it out of context, say some shit. But guess what? Now X is gonna reveal what I truly meant, what I really said, and all that does is discredit you as a news organization. So if all you're doing is grasping on straws, and people are gonna fact check you, look into it, because people are going to podcasts and these sorts of different things for information, because the news, and again, Donald Trump was playing that shit up, was going after everything he clipped, just to find out, one, he didn't really mean it, and two, he never actually did that. And that discredits the fuck out of you. So right now, all these CNN, MSNBC, they're becoming the way of Blockbuster. In fact, the owner of Comcast is trying to sell MSNBC. And you had that news show, Joe, forgot their name, their organization, they met with Trump at the Mar-a-Lago, all right, to open up talks after 4 years. Why did they do that? To save their ass, because people want to eat. You know, people want to keep their jobs. And that kind of backfired at them. So it's a complete disarray, but it shows you the power of controlling information. And like I said, Elon Musk taking over Twitter and turning it into X released a den of information. It was completely a black swan, man. If he never did that, I think more or less, who was that dude? Alan Lichtman, that dude that predicted the last 10 elections correctly. He said that Joe Biden was going to win. And then when Biden dropped out, he said Harris was still going to win. And guess what? He was wrong. All right, them 13 keys that he mentioned about didn't work, because you didn't factor in the fact that X was going to be the #1 news platform during the elections. You know what I'm saying? And that's one thing about X. Like, you open it up, you see both sides. You see both crazy sides and shit. Imagine. You know, when you on YouTube, and let's say you're part of Great Millstone, more than likely you're only going to see Great Millstone. Imagine opening up YouTube and seeing everybody, all these different camps, without even searching for them. That's what X is, and you can kind of cipher information, because right now, the time we're in, we have to double check information, man. Isaiah 30:20, and though the Lord give you the bread of adversity and the water of affliction, yet shall not thy teachers be removed into a corner anymore. Right, so it says the teachers, the prophets, the apostles, the elders, the brothers, we're not going to be hidden in a corner anymore. It says, but thine eyes shall see thy teachers. Okay, so you seeing us now. We put our face out there. All right, and then this war information and people looking for different things. This thing is going to also open up. The truth is going to also open up, because people are, especially the newer generation, not relying on legacy media. And we see in the fall of legacy media in real time. Guess what? They're going to start coming to us. Okay, people are going to be seeking information, wanting to know truth. The legacy media fucked themselves by not vetting their information. And guess what? Now the floodgates is open with places like X and Rumble, okay, which is going to change the political tides. The informational tides. 21. And thine eyes shall hear a word behind thee, saying, this is the way, walk ye in it. When you turn to the right hand and you turn to the left. And Abba Bivens, man, we've come a long way. This truth has evolved a long way from the time of Abba Bivens, who was Elijah, if you can receive that, came and changed the path. And now look at how information has flourished, right? And the truth has flourished and is going to keep flourishing and keep growing. And, you know, like I said, this is crazy. And you know what? They're trying to salvage what they can, because, you know, you have different places like Brazil and Europe that was saying we have to silence Elon Musk and we have to ban Twitter. Well, guess what? JD Vance came out and said, if you ban Twitter, we will exit NATO. So that shows you that they want to keep this. They want to keep the war of information on their side, because, you know, let's face it, NATO is really 74% of the United States. The United States use NATO as a proxy, all right, to stage their military weapons on the borderlines of their adversaries. That's really what NATO is. And how do these smaller nations, because remember the scriptures tell you some are strong, some are weak, how do these smaller nations take advantage of NATO? They just defund their military. Why would I have to invest in my military if I have America backing me, right? Because if under Article 5, if you hurt one NATO nation, you fuck with them all, you know. So which Trump is not a fan of, you know. But like I said, man, this guy creating, taking over Twitter was really a black swan event in terms of just how you know, again, controlling the information. Whoever controls the information controls the narrative. You know, Putin's a mastermind at that. You know, I was looking, Global News released that they were going to use SR-26 in retaliation to Ukraine. But, you know, you can't find any legitimate sources on that, you know? And that's the thing. You have Russia coming out saying we shot down 5 of the 6 missiles. You have Reuters saying that, guess what? No, the missiles hit a nuclear, I'm sorry, that it hit ammunition stockpile. So, and that's the thing. That's what you do as Russia. You know, you put out a bunch of information, a bunch of false flags that when the truth come out, people don't know what to believe. Don't you know in the past 2 years, Ukraine had to issue 1,500 aerial strike alerts in Ukraine just to come out that a majority of them was false flags. And, you know, so Russia will spook them. And that way you never know what's really going to happen or not. So, man, the information wars are huge right now. And again, ultimately, this is the truth. And more people will open up their eyes to this as we come to them, namely the Israelites. Okay? And we're going to be persecuted for that. With that, I'm going to close with this. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 2, verse 10. It says, fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. So we're going to get locked up, some of us, all right, for speaking this thing, because guess what? This is a legitimate war on information. And we, the prophets of the Most High, is here to really discern what's what from the scriptures. You know, in closing, man, there's just so much to talk about with this. It's exciting. This dude coming in, Trump coming in, he plans to be heavy on crypto. Now, one of the things he wants to do is load up the United States stockpile on BTC. He said he doesn't want to do CDBC, central bank digital currencies. Neither does Fed Chairman Powell. He said we have no intentions of ever, at least in this time, maybe in the very far future, of using CBDC, central bank digital currency. But the RFID microchip, to those that say, well, see, they're not talking about CBDC. One, the so-called white man speaks with a forked tongue, because though he say that, a black swan event could just make them use the CBDC anyway. They said they don't want to be like China. China's been using the CBDC since 2014. So the reason they have to come out and say they don't want to use a CBDC, a central bank digital currency, because that means the government will be able to track every single transaction you do, and pair it with the chip. With the chip is not a currency. The chip is a payment system. Because right now people are using RFID microchip. It doesn't have to. You don't need a CBDC to do transaction with it. But yeah, you know, even though they say that, even though Trump says he doesn't want to use a CBDC, or neither does Fed Chairman Powell, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, one black swan event, you know, could change the tides of all that, you know. So this dude Elon Musk, he's going to be involved in the next major black swan event, and that is the RFID microchip. As the brother said, he had a dream with this dude Elon pushing it in, and very much so. You know, the cabinet's already around him. You have Dr. Oz, which is pro-chip. Elon Musk, that wants the chip in people's right hands in the Neuralink situation. All we need is a major black swan event, all right, to have them renege on some of those statements that they said. So with that, I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashim Rakak Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone True Well. Salutations to the hopeful elect out there, you Akim to Sadakim, that do this thing in the most truth and sincerity. Shalom.